Welcome to this episode of YouTube where I've entitled it August Pelage Variable Behaviors. And what that means is the wolves have started to grow back their winter coats and temperatures have been cooling. And that means that we get some fog in the morning where the groundwater is warmer than the air and gives us some fog. And so we're seeing these changes and we're seeing the wolves put on a good thick winter coat. And that means that it's great on a morning when it's cool. And here's Bolt's doing a little bit of a scrape after he squat urinates and marks. But when it gets hot, the wolves have an even harder time because their winter coats are coming in while we deal with this August heat. So we do see a variety of behaviors. On cool mornings, very active. On hot days, very, very down. And so we are monitoring a lot of interesting changes. And as we said, this pack is always active in the mornings and doing a little bit of dominance behavior. And you might actually hear Luna here doing what we call now the preemptive shriek. That's where Luna gets a little threat display from Aiden, mostly stimulated by her obnoxious submission, and she'll let out a little screech before Aiden touches her. Now, sometimes Aiden does do a hard muzzle bite. She has a reason to roll over and screech, but for the most part, these kind of behaviors are the precursor to wintertime activity, where rank order gets stimulated by hormonal surges that make them reestablish the order in which the rank exists within the pack. And like I said, it's gender specific, but what's interesting is watch Bolt's tail here. He's running around with what we call a T1 tail up in the air, following Luna. He's not testing Aiden. So even though rank orders are gender specific, he's testing Luna, or he's kind of joining in on Luna's situation because, again, he and Luna were raised together, so there's a little bit of that pup mate wrestling, but he's definitely following Aiden's lead. And I find that, again, very interesting. We always talk about future dynamics. We'll be adding pups to this pack to add to the pack. Aiden, is 7, going on 8. He's likely to have only a few more years leading this pack. And it really looks like Bolt's has the capability of moving up. Now, what about Denali? Well, Denali's kind of Denali. Denali likes to avoid conflict. He tends to not want to engage in those kind of things. We saw him today tossing up a beaver tail and pouncing on it. He's got some juvenile traits that'll never go away. And I think when you have a strong, dominant pack leader who happens to be also your litter mate, I think that has a tendency to affect how the wolves interact. But like I said, Denali's pretty curious, always very social, wants to know what's going on, wants to be part of the pack and part of the group, and comes down, but doesn't assert much leadership. He's curious, there's no doubt. We see a lot of Denali investigation, a lot of digging, a lot of sniffing. He is the most food possessive, and we had been saying Luna, but lately Luna's been backing off on the food, and Denali is clearly the one who goes after the food and gets the resources the most. So, and that could be just his metabolism. The sand pile is still a hit, and we are going to be moving that before the winter hits because we need to use that and spread it around. Plus, we also need to make sure gates open with that sand pile's right in front of the gate. But we leave it there as long as we need to, and certainly you see a relaxed, comfortable Bolts and Luna as they're resting. So a lot of these chasing Luna dominance, these aren't long-term. This isn't Luna being ostracized. These are just kind of ritualized dominance and things that go on, especially in the excitability of a cold morning. But these two, again, they were raised together, so they have associative behavior because of age and because of bond, and they tend to hang out together quite a bit. Over in Grizzer's world, typical Grizzer day, getting a belly scratch from one of the wolf care staff and putting a four-leg stab up there to rest his paw on the staff. It's a way to encourage the staff to continue to interact or scratch him, and like I say, this is a time for us to check lymph nodes and do all kinds of things. He just thoroughly enjoys it. I mean, that's the benefit of being a retiree, is that you get that kind of attention from staff. Not a lot of time in the exhibit pack for that, because when you're on your back, some other wolf is going to come investigate, or some other wolf's going to come and block. If we have enough staff, 3 or 4 people in there, we can give that kind of attention to Aiden. We are seeing a lot of vegetation this year. We've had a wet year, so we are growing a lot of vegetation, and this is the back grizzer habitat. As you can see, he's got to part the way of his path to be able to find traffic. That's great for pups coming in. That's going to be something that the pups really enjoy, is having a thick, dense vegetation around them. So that's it for this week. Aiden did have a little bit of a knee injury. We're treating him with some anti-inflammatory, but he seems to be doing okay. Luna as dominant as ever, and Bolt's showing signs that he could be a future pack leader. So thanks for watching. Have a good day.